This is Dr. James Crosby, Head of Sustainability at Advantage Utilities. I'd like to ask, could your organisation be more of an energy sector hero? Are you interested in improving your sustainability as a business? Well, now you can obtain the expert view and guidance on renewable energy solutions, on-site generation, carbon accounting, and sophisticated grid energy purchasing options through Advantage Utilities. Our team of experts use the latest tools to better analyze, track, and reduce your organization's energy usage and carbon emissions. To find out how Advantage Utilities can become your one-stop shop for all your energy and sustainability needs, please visit www.advantageutilities.com or give one of our passionate and friendly team a call on 0208 131 4747.
Hi there, and welcome back to the Energy Sector Heroes podcast. My name is Michelle Fraser, and every week I will speak with incredible people who share their lessons, experiences, and stories from their time spent in the energy sector. Hi there, and welcome back again to this week's episode. If you're new to the show, then please take a second to subscribe and even consider sharing the show with just one other person. This week I am joined by Erik Nijveld. Erik has over 25 years experience with technology deployment in the energy sector. Erik, would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, thank you very much, Michelle, for having me in this podcast. And indeed, Erik Nijveld, I worked at Shell for about 20 years, started my own company in 2018. Essentially, all my roles were related to technology development and technology deployment. So there are not many people that have that as their career path, but my career has been purely focused on technology deployment.
Okay, how do you mean by technology deployment? What is that?
Well, what it is that it's really delivering value to the company from making sure that a technology is not only deployed once, but it gets deployed and replicated across the company. And in the Shell days, in my last role, I was technology deployment manager. And one of the things that I started at that time was what was called in Shell a technology replication thrust, TRT, as we usually called it. That's easier. What you saw in a company like Shell was that certain technologies were deployed in one geographical area and not in others, or used in one business unit and not in others. And we set up a global task force to really make sure that technologies got deployed and replicated across the globe. And a lot of value was delivered as a result. You can say in theory you don't need such a technology deployment manager, but at the end you do need people in the company that drive deployment, that make it happen, and to make sure that value is realized. If you leave it up to the people in the assets or the projects, they're all busy with meeting production targets or other milestones in projects, and as a result, the tendency to continue to do what you've always done is just there. And as a technology deployment manager, I really made sure that technology got deployed and that value was delivered as a result.
That sounds interesting. So how did you get started off in the energy sector then?
So I started off at the end of the 90s. Before that, I was in the steel industry for a couple of years. And in those days, there was a work ongoing on at the time, strategic technology, expandable tubular technology, and to plastically deform steel in the wellbore, such that the structure of the well was streamlined and slimmer wells. And for the development of that technology, they needed people who had understanding of plastic deformation of steel. And before that, or traditionally, steel was not meant to plastically deform in the wellbore. So I joined Shell because I had certain skills that were needed to develop this technology. And that's how I joined. And as a next step, I moved with the technology to the Far East and deployed the technology in assets in the Far East, particularly in Malaysia. And from there, I moved into broader technology deployment roles. Yeah, my last role at Shell was pretty broad, effectively covering all the technologies in support of production excellence.
Okay, so is it quite hard to deploy technologies throughout a whole company?
It's hard, but at the same time, step by step, we learned what is needed to make it happen. Yeah, to get technology deployed is it's mostly non-technical. Of course, a technology needs to be sound, and technically, you need to work all the details. But at the end, for to get acceptance, it's really an influencing game, and in a sense, not that different from the way we get influenced in our daily life. So we always tend to say that getting acceptance for technology in the oil and gas sector, as well as other sectors, is difficult. But in a sense, there are many parallels with the way we look at technology in daily life. And I live here, and I'm doing this call from my house here in The Hague. The house was built in the 19th century. When I moved here, I needed a plumber, and I didn't know one, so I went to my neighbor, and the only thing I had to hear from my neighbor was thumbs up, that's a great plumber. And then I gave the person a call, and that gives confidence if your neighbor says this is great. And the same with other decisions we take in daily life, like where to buy a house. If I would move to the UK and to a certain city, and I'm looking for a house, and 5 people say, hey, that's a great part of town, I can recommend it. That's something we take seriously. But if those same 5 people say, hey, avoid that part of town, I don't know anyone who then goes ahead and buys a house there. And with technology, it's a bit the same. So the influencing game around technology has many similarities with the way we get influence in daily life or influence others. And one key thing that asset managers or other decision makers want to hear is, hey, who else has done it? And the moment they hear that their neighbors have done it, that immediately gives confidence. And if they then also get reviews from experts, not just in their own company, but also from others, that also gives the confidence. And that then helps to at least have the foot in the door. And that's just one aspect. And there are many things that need to be worked to get acceptance for technology. But certainly, making references and having the data available, that clearly helps, and to at least get acceptance for technologies that others have used already.
Okay. That sounds amazing, actually. So, what is the most challenging thing about deploying technology then?
Well, I would say there are multiple things that are challenging. But I think one of the things that you still see a lot is that the business leaders actually don't realize how much value can be gained from technology that is readily available. So technology is associated with new and therefore risky, but the amount of money that can be made from things that are there, that's just phenomenal. Many things are challenging when it comes to technology deployment, but the thing that the decision makers simply don't realize how much money they leave on the table, that is certainly a key aspect. And certainly in the role I had in Shell, the team I managed, it was a global team of experts around the globe. And the role I had as the leader of this task force of the Technology Replication Trust was to have the initial conversation with an asset manager, other decision makers, and really point out that there are, say, 5 or 10 technologies waiting there to get deployed, and that the impact is in this ballpark, and that they're not the first ones deploying it, and that these and these people have gone before them in these companies, and that it's worth having a try. And the moment that initial conversation has taken place and they see the potential impact, from there the ball starts rolling. But it's particularly this belief and understanding how much money can be gained. And certainly when highlighting technologies, and when I started this task force in the Shell days, you have to be a bit lucky initially when you start such a task force. But to give one example, that happened around 2011, 2012. So just after I had started this initiative, there was a small field in Malaysia, part of the Sarawak asset, which is a very large asset. And that field only had 2 wells, and the wells were literally on the schedule to be abandoned because of slugging issues. Slugging had become too severe. And all the operational procedures said end of field life. And at that time, we knew about the technology that until that time had only been deployed in the Gulf of Mexico, nowhere else, and it had been forgotten a bit. And literally with an investment of $500,000, we got close to 4 million barrels out of the field. That's not what we said. We said 1 million, and they thought we were crazy. But they gave it a try because, it was certainly a great business case. And it happened. And building on that, we got many technologies deployed. Of course, the business case has to be sound. All the technical work needs to be done. But at the end, the starting point to get the foot in the door is really very often showing the deployment references and reviews. That is a critical way to get a listening ear.
Okay. So what do you enjoy the most about your current role then?
Well, I actually left Shell in 2018 and to start a platform, technologycatalog.com it's called. And because when doing all the work on the technology deployment and replication, at some point in time, we thought, why is there actually not a platform out there that can help here? So we all use platforms in our daily life to find hotels and other things. And sites like booking.com greatly help these days to find a hotel in Barcelona or other cities. You have the information at your fingertips. And strangely enough, for technology, such a platform didn't exist yet. And so there wasn't such a business-to-business technology platform, not in the energy industry, and I also haven't really seen it in other industries. And I saw the opportunity, so together with a colleague, I left Shell and started this platform. And it has been a fascinating journey so far. We started something that was unique in the energy sector, and it's really there it's effectively a online 24/7 exhibition that suppliers use to create visibility for their solutions, and that companies around the globe use to find and select technologies whereby we give them the data such that they can easily replicate what worked for others. And we particularly have a lot of traction in the UK. So that's really where a lot is happening at the moment. Multiple operators already use it, but also in other parts of the world. And I very much enjoy building this company. It's a scale up and it's growing rapidly.
That's amazing, actually. But what is the most challenging thing about creating like a platform? That would be quite difficult, I would have thought so.
Well, any platform, and not just the platform that we have, but the moment you have a two-sided platform, suppliers as well as the demand side, it's a bit chicken and egg. You need a good number of technologies to attract visitors to the platform, people to use it. And the more people that use it, the more suppliers join the platform. So it goes back and forth. Fortunately, we didn't start from scratch. So we knew from the previous roles of technologies, so we could approach them. And on the demand side, where what really helped us was the fact that we have a very large network in the energy industry. And many people that used to be my internal Shell customers, they've moved on to other companies. And with that, we have a network of customers, potential customers across the industry. And by now, we also support companies outside of oil and gas, because our ambition clearly is to make this a platform not only for the conventional energy industry, but also for the renewable energy industry. And actually, many of our users actually come from renewables already, as well as other industries.
Okay. So did you have any role models during your career?
Well, absolutely. So certainly people that I learned from. So when I started off in the wells department at the time, around that time, a global deployment team was set up, similar to the effort I started later on. And the way technology was managed and how we got deployment done in those days, I've really applied many of the things I learned from those days in my later roles. So the boss I had at the time, a Scottish boss, John Dewar, perhaps he listens to this podcast, and so he was the one I clearly learned a lot from, as well as another line manager in those days, Don Sitten. And they applied ways of working that I learned a lot from. And also others that I worked for in those days. Actually, one of those bosses I'm actually going to meet next week in Houston, Mark Henderson, the same. And so certainly in those days, in the wells days, I worked in the team of people that really, they really taught me a lot on how to get deployment done. And I'm also grateful to people that gave me the opportunity later on. And I had quite a strange career in a sense in Shell, because most of the jobs I did in the Shell system were jobs that didn't exist yet when I started them. So most of the jobs I did were jobs I created myself. And to create a job yourself in a company, people need to believe in what you do and say, hey, I believe in this idea and here's some budget to get going. And that's also how I started with in the last role I did. So in those days, I had an idea and I went to the VP in the organization at the time, said, this is my idea to get technology going. And he said, well, here's some budget, go for it. And that's fantastic that people give you the benefit of the doubt or believe in what you do. And so that's how I started. So in a sense, in the roles I had, certainly in the last role, I was a entrepreneur within the company, an entrepreneur, and set up this technology deployment task force pretty much from scratch.
Okay. So do you have any advice for any younger audience about how to create a role, a job for yourself?
Well, it's one of the pieces of advice I got pretty much right after starting the company at the time was that, my boss at the time, he said, well, you hear about all the things that are important to the company. And of course, you need to listen to what managers tell you during town halls and other events. But he said it's also incredibly important to form your own opinion of what the business needs. Because the things that they tell you, there's also a bit of the flavor of the day sometimes. When I joined, no one spoke about CO2 emission reduction at the end of the 90s. That was not a topic. No one spoke about hydrogen or other things. So it's important to form your own opinion of what you believe the business needs. And my belief early on was that the business needs people that truly understand technology deployment. So form your own opinion at the end. And that has been the common element in my career. So all the jobs I had technology deployment as a common element. So that's one thing that's important. But the other thing, and that's the case in any role in any company, is that you need to deliver whatever job you do. Make sure you deliver, and the moment you deliver results, then opportunities open up, and people are also open to suggestions that you have. Having said all this, I think in today's world, if I reflect back on my Shell career, I think that the opportunities I had to shape my own jobs, I think that would be a bit more, that was a bit difficult around the time I left. But creating opportunities, at the end, it's important to have a good understanding of the business, form your own opinions of what the business needs, and deliver.
But it would be quite hard, I would think, for a younger person to have the confidence to really form their own opinion and really drive that through to senior management. What advice would you give to them to be able to do that?
Yeah, and it takes time. It's step by step, and you don't immediately get the you have to climb up the ladder anyway. You get certain responsibilities, and the moment people see you deliver and can handle those responsibilities, then you can get more responsibilities. So it's a step-by-step approach. So the key thing is to build your skill set, and in every job you do, make sure that you deliver. And certainly in big companies, you can also easily get distracted by all the things that are going on. That was another piece of advice I got pretty much in my first day when I joined Shell. My manager at the time, he said, well, in a company like Shell, you can be busy all day with doing nothing because there are all sorts of things going on. And you can be busy attending presentations and attending many meetings, etc. So he compared that with Brownian motion. So the molecules they move very fast. But he said at the end of the day, at the end of the year, what really counts are the 2 or 3 truly material things that you delivered. And that's something we've always kept in mind. So what are the key things I need to do and to make my mark for that year? And so focus is incredibly important. And step by step for young people joining companies, so step by step, the moment you deliver and you build your skills set, and step by step responsibilities will grow.
That is amazing advice, actually. So is there anything else you still want to achieve in your career? What's the next thing for you?
Well, to me, I mean, my focus is fully on the company I started. So we just had our 6th anniversary. We're still a scale up. It's growing nicely. We also just completed another funding round. So we have the funds to grow further. And the key thing is that I want to grow this company and mature it. And there will probably be a day at some point in time that will be the aim, to have an exit at some point in time, that another company acquires it. And but the key thing is to grow the company, to build a platform, But of course, also to make sure that all the companies that are on the platform get value out of it, that suppliers generate high quality leads on the platform, through the platform, and that operators and consultancy firms and others that use the platform find and select valuable technologies. And that way, that whole system becomes more effective. And the efficiency gains that can be realized from a platform like we have, it's indeed that whole matchmaking goes way more efficient. It doesn't mean that all the exhibitions in the world will disappear. Some exhibitions will still be needed, particularly exhibitions that come with a high quality conference organized by an established trade or industry association like SPE. But there are also many exhibitions that are probably not the most effective use of people's time, and that it's way more effective to use platforms to do the matchmaking. And just as well that we use platforms these days to find hotels. I mean, I'm old enough to remember the days that I went to a travel agency to book a hotel, or to use my Lonely Planet guide and find the phone number and phone up hotels pretty much on the spot. And it's just unbelievable that that's the way it worked in those days. And when do people still go to a travel agency to book a flight or hotel? You only do that perhaps if it's a complicated trip with multiple legs and many different hotels you want to stay in. But otherwise, we all do it ourselves. Platforms have completely changed the way we do things in daily life. And that's really where we want to be with the platform, that finding and selecting a technology is as easy as finding a hotel or other things we do via platforms these days.
Okay. That is good advice, actually. It's amazing how technology has changed so much. It is, yes. So, what is your zone of genius? What are you most excellent at?
Well, yeah, if you may say that about yourself, but I think what I was pretty good at in the Shell days, it turned out, was technology deployment and all the things that come with it. So really connecting technology suppliers to users and all the technical and non-technical work, all the change management required to make technology deployment happen. So that is something I've always done and very much enjoyed. And that's pretty much also what we now do with the team through the platform.
Okay. Excellent. So if you were going to hire anybody, what skills and experience would you look for?
Well, it depends a bit on the per role, but to give a very explicit example, we're about to post a role, so I can give that as example. And our platform is a platform whereby we have the ambition that in a couple of years from now, any technology of relevance to the energy industry can be found on the platform. And so that means that in a couple of years from now, the platform will contain over 100,000 things. So that's how many technologies there are out there for the energy sector. We can easily estimate. And actually, one of the type of people we now want to hire is a person who is currently active in the exhibition industry, the events industry, and used to fill the floor of the exhibition, used to fill the floor space with suppliers. And that type of person we now want to have. But instead, this person is now going to fill the virtual exhibition, you can say, the platform. And our ambition clearly is that our 24/7 online exhibition will be filled with technologies from suppliers, that all the suppliers you now see at Offshore Europe or at ADIPEC or other big events, that they're also on the platform. So for that, that's just one example. We need someone with experience in the exhibition industry who sells virtual space, you can say, to suppliers.
Do you think that that's going to be easy to find someone like that?
Well, so far we have always managed to find good people because people like what we do with the platform. It's something novel, so it's an exciting new product. It helps the traditional energy industry to become more effective and cost effective, but also to decarbonize. But equally well, essentially any technology that is currently being applied in the oil and gas industry is also of relevance to the new energy sector. Sometimes when you open the newspaper and you read about hydrogen, you sometimes get the impression that a industry is being created from scratch.
Mm-hmm.
But the type of inspection technology to inspect your equipment in a hydrogen plant, it's not fundamentally different what you need in a refinery. And for geothermal, you also need wells and need to understand the subsurface. So you can't really think of hardly any technology that is currently of relevance to oil and gas that is not applicable to renewables. So, and as such, the platform also plays a key role for the transition, because part of the transition is also to make sure that the oil and gas capability gets transferred and applied in other industries. And that's very exciting. So the fact that you are currently active in oil and gas, it means that there's fantastic opportunities out there, not just to continue working on oil and gas, but also in the other sectors. And as such, the industry is of critical importance for the whole transition. And any aspect for renewables, same for wind, offshore wind. For offshore wind, you need to understand the whole offshore sector. And for that, you need capabilities that the oil sector, gas sector has, and to apply those. So people are keen to contribute to a platform like what we have, because it's clearly a new way of working. It's an exciting product that will really change the way we do our business, but it's also clearly going to help to make sure that it supports the transition, and all the capability that exists in the conventional sector will be of relevance and continue to be of relevance.
Okay, that sounds amazing. So I was going to ask you, do you have any advice for any younger graduates wanting to enter into the energy sector?
Yeah, advice. Well, first of all, I think it's a fascinating sector. Energy is core to the lives of people. We need energy, so it's something essential. And the careers that you can have in the energy sector, I can just say, you learn a lot. It's something incredibly meaningful that you do, and that's not going to disappear. And the type of company to join, that depends on preferences. I mean, I started off in big companies and then moved to a startup. You can also do it the other way around. Great thing about a large corporate is that you get the career opportunities and the training opportunities. And for me, I'm also grateful to all the opportunities I got to live in other countries and experience that. So it's a great sector, and I'm glad to see that. Well, a couple of years ago, mentioning oil and gas was completely not done, almost, depending on which country you were. It's good to see that. Certainly in the current climate, that the realization that having access to energy is not a given is something that people see again, and that the appreciation for the industry is is going up again. So that's great to see. But yeah, for people, yeah, I would definitely recommend a career and in the energy sector. And I personally also find life at a startup supporting the energy sector absolutely fascinating. So working at a startup is completely different from working for a corporate. But what makes it so inspiring is that the impact that you have as an individual, it's pretty direct, and you can't hide behind anyone. And if you want to try things, yeah, you have all sorts of opportunities in the startup. So it's incredibly fascinating.
I think so too. I do think so too. So I'm going to ask you maybe one final question. If you could turn back time, would you change anything?
Well, it's a difficult question, but I don't think so. To be honest, I'm grateful for the career choices I've made. I'm glad I made the choices. I'm grateful for the opportunities I got, and yeah, it was starting my own business came at the right time. So I started it when, as per the pension age in the Netherlands, when I was midway. So half of my career in the corporate, and now I'm working for the other half in other environments. That's my aim. But yeah, working in the corporates, that has given me the foundation. And no, I would not do it in a different way. I'm a mechanical engineer by background. I also did an MBA, so those studies gave me the background, and those were the right choices.
I'm glad. I'm really glad. So that's all the questions I have today. I would like to thank Erik for your time. That brings us to the end of another episode. Thanks for listening, and see you next week. That brings us to the end of another episode. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed the show, I'd like to gently encourage you to leave a 5-star rating wherever you listen to podcasts and share the show with another person. You can also follow me on LinkedIn or via my website, www.michellefraserconsultancy.com. Thanks again for listening, and see you next week.